We are live. By we, I mean the Small Biz Breakdown crew. It is Friday. Was it Friday, April, 3rd or something? 4th? I don't know. I'm losing track of time. Right. We're already in April of 2026. It's really hard to believe. Anyway, I'm Brent Leary. It is noon or slightly afternoon on the East Coast here. And you know what we do. We missed last week, but we're back just for y'all. The outcry was just so enormous we had to. All right, I'm lying. Anyway, we just wanted to come back. And when I say we, and when I say come back, I mean always starting out west. Leland from Oregon. Hey, Leland.
Hey, Brent. Good to be here. Good to be back. Sorry I missed last week.
Well, we all missed last week. So
yeah. And when you introduced yourself and you're like, we, I thought you were going with like the royal we, kind of doing a little bit of
the royal we.
Yeah. We're glad to be here for you today.
I'll leave that to you. If you want to continue down that path, feel free. We can do that. Or we could just keep moseying on down the highway, although it's not really moseying on down. It's moseying on east. It doesn't have the same impact. But anyway, we always like to go to Gary, Indiana, because there's always positivity in Gary. Because that guy named Pierre with that interesting last name, Pierre from the Boyceville, otherwise known as Gary, Indiana. Hey, Pierre.
Good to be here. Happy Friday, 3 weeks before Michael is released. So I have to say that because I'm in Gary and everybody's excited about that. And it's spring weather. So like Sheryl Crow, I am soaking up the sun.
Wow. We got Michael references. We got Sheryl Crow up in there. Anybody else you want to put out there before we move?
But I put those together. Fun fact, Sheryl Crow was a backup singer on Michael Jackson's 1988 Bad Tour. So there you go.
Hey, that's a good fun fact. I didn't know that. Nice. She was a backup singer, huh?
Yep. She did the part for she did backup and she did the part for I Just Can't Stop Loving You. She had
that was her?
That wasn't her on the album.
Ida Garrett was yeah, okay.
Yeah. But on tour, she had to do that part.
She did the Ida Garrett on tour.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. We'll have to see if the cold one, the bold one knew. I'm guessing he didn't because he really doesn't know much. Anyway, before we do that, so the last couple of times we have not had a chance to stop in mystical, magical, wondrous. I can't think of any other M's at the moment for Medina. But we get to do a stop in Medina because we get to see Evena Taylor. It's good to see her. We can't hear you.
You're muted.
Evena Taylor, I am in a new location. I have relocated to my mom's, as you guys know, so that has been a thing. But I am still in Medina, and it is still magical. Spring is in the air, love is in the air, and it is so good to be with and see you guys.
There's a lot of stuff in the air. Pollen down here, but
that too.
Different. But we are so glad to have you back. Whenever we can have you with us, we enjoy it. So glad to see you again. And now, moving to our nation's capital, there's only one thing that happens more in DC than Shashi smiling. And we can't really talk about that because it's not all that positive. But anyway, we are going to our nation's capital and visiting with the one and only Shashi Bellamkonda. Hey, Shashi.
Can you? Shashi? Yep, there he is.
Yeah, well, you're kind of going in and out there a little bit. Now all right, try it now.
Everyone. Hello, everyone.
All right, we hear you now.
Great, excellent. So nice to see you all, and especially John. Ivana.
It's going to be a rough show for me, I can tell. Well, glad to see you, Shashi. We are glad to see you.
Shashi, did you have a gummy?
What kind of gummy?
That kind of gummy, because you are so mellow.
That was a really good question.
I have never seen you that mellow.
Okay, that's really interesting.
I don't have to spend any money to become better.
All righty. All right. Well, usually this time we head to our what is it, the vacation capital of the nation or the world,
Universe.
universe, galaxy. I don't know. But we can't stop in there because Ramon Ray is not here with us today. But we give him a shout out. And now we have not seen this young man in a while. Yeah, I did. Yeah, okay. He's getting ready for his close up, Mr. DeMille. All right, he is the cold one. Some call him the bold one. His AARP card says he's kind of like the old one too at this point. He is John Colder Ice Lawson.
I got goodies.
You got gummies?
I got gummies. Super high. But I'll wait till after.
Well, I will say it. It's good to see you.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is because something got caught in my throat after I said that.
Good to be seen.
Good. That's good to see. All right. And let's see. We got I hope somebody knows Rajesh because I don't know, but the group is cozying with happiness and
Oozing,
optimism.
probably oozing.
Oh, oozing.
Awesome.
Why did I say oozing with happiness and optimism? We can feel the love from you too, Rajesh. So thank you. And anybody out there, we're glad you're here. All right, now with all the happiness out the way, we got all that out the way. It's been a couple of weeks since we've had a chance to go around the bin and see how everybody's feeling about everything. Now, we did I think we got some positive news this morning. We had a jobs report. It was anticipated around 58,000 new jobs, but it actually came in, I think, around 178,000, which on its surface, you'd feel pretty good about it. But there was a little, I don't know, scrutiny on those numbers, but we'll leave it there. All right. So we are still in the midst of a war. We apparently in the midst of the war, we fired the chief of staff for the army in the middle of a war, which is kind of weird, I would think. Anyway, some other people got fired just yesterday. Attorney General, I believe. Lots of stuff going on. Ivana, we haven't heard from you in a few weeks, so let us turn to you to see how you feel about everything going on right now.
Well, I have been the voice of contradiction lately. Right? Like I look at the numbers and small businesses are hanging in there. Right? They are hanging in there. And I've decided to definitely go 10 tones down on how to get customers and keep customers in this type of environment. And I'm thinking there's a lot of opportunity there, even though, not going to lie, I've created a little report that I'm going to probably put out later on today, but there is opportunity there. There's opportunity for fractionals, especially. There's opportunity for retail and for the trades, right? You just got to be really careful about how you're going to craft your offer. So I went from being very doom and gloom to sort of looking for the silver lining. Am I tossing the ball to someone? Should I toss it over to John since he's not been here either?
Wow. Thank you, ma'am. Well, my word for the way I'm feeling right now is settled. I'm settled, Look, man, I've been in business for 25 years. So that's why he calls me the old one, And the one thing I do know, and I was on stage yesterday, and I was speaking to all these business owners, and I told them something, and I'm like, it was good to hear it for my own self as it came out of my mouth. You know how you say things you don't even know. But it's like, every 5 to 10 years, the economy goes through its changes. Every 10 years, America goes to war. So the one thing for us in this time as small business owners, it is a time for maintaining and taking share. This is always the time for growth because as competitors slow down their advertising, they slow down their acquisition, they often slow down and some even go out of business. And it becomes an opportunity for you to grow your business. So don't feel too bad, just feel settled right now and keep pumping.
Keep pumping. All right. By the way, I deleted the stream to your YouTube, Shashi, because we're getting terrible comments. So just to let you know. All right. Who should go next? I'm looking at you, John, because you just went. So who's going to go?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's been that long. It has been a while since you've been here. You're a little rusty.
Pierre.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. I get a couple of quick things. Brent, you mentioned about the firing of the chief of staff.
The Army. Yeah, an Army.
The Army, yeah. It is an interesting move just because this is also being touted as the first war with AI behind it. I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around that a little bit. I think sometimes with war, when we feel more distant from the weapons we use, we're no longer in the age where we pick up our musket and we're actually trotting off over there. I think that sort of disconnect makes it easier to do things such as firing staff in the middle of something. So I guess that first probably comes along with that other first as well. For the jobs, I think there's still, I think what John Lawson brought up is a good point. There's a lot of, I hate to say opportunity, I would say turbulence a little bit. And it may seem like it could be as a business owner, I could probably hold back, but there's probably are some opportunities to pay attention to. One of the things with entrepreneurship is that you have priorities. You have to figure out what is going to be the priority for you day in and day out, and then strategically as you move forward. And a lot of that, when you do that, you start putting noise out of your ear and focusing on the things that work best for you. I think there's some opportunity, and I have to admit part of that brightness is also because it's spring. I'm in a good mood because it's spring. We got spring cleaning, so do some spring cleaning with your strategy.
Wow. Good mood and spring cleaning usually don't go together for me, at least, but I hear you. All righty. That leaves the one and only Leland from Oregon.
Well, we also have Shashi too, but I'll go.
Shashi,
don't forget Shashi. We'll save him for best for last.
I got thrown off because of his YouTube channel was spitting out some weird comments, so I forgot about that. Sorry, Shashi. I will not punish you for that.
Look, I look at it as like, yeah, we've got uncertainty. I mean, that's government in and of itself. It doesn't matter who's in charge, what's going on. We've had wars through every administration. I look at it like 2020 was absolutely horrendous, and especially for small business. And it's really hard to look at situations going forward and not compare them back to like when it was at its absolute worst. And so it's like, yes, is there some uncertainty at the moment? Yeah. I do think that the war is kind of ramping down a little bit, and so hopefully that's a good indication, and maybe it will be done. Maybe it'll get thrown into second gear and it'll crank out more. I don't know. But I just look at the situation and say it could be a lot worse, a lot worse. And we've seen that in recent times. We're not, I don't think, at a point to where it's like, okay, 20% of all small businesses are going to be shut down or anything like that within the next year. I don't think we're at any kind of situation where like small business owners should be panicking. It's still at a point to where it's, maybe find opportunities to be able to grow, to be able to adapt quickly in case something were to happen. But for the most part, keep on trucking on and work on growing and improving your business and finding those new opportunities to be able to grow if that's what you truly want. I know that I've seen some stories recently, and it's very interesting, of businesses that don't want to grow. They like where they're at. They're the size that's perfect enough for them, and they're seeing their friends, their colleagues that are growing, and it's just causing more work. So, do what's best for you, and keep plugging away.
All right. And I think there's a company I think we all were familiar with called Infusionsoft. And one of the things I remember them talking about was like a lot of people, like Leland just said, a lot of small businesses, they weren't trying to grow big. They were just trying to like maintain a certain lifestyle, and their business was the way they wanted their business to cover their lifestyle, but they weren't really all that interested in blowing up or being some kind of big wig or anything like that. Are you seeing that as still a kind of a prevailing sentiment around small businesses that you talk about or talk to?
It's not necessarily that I've seen this a lot, but I do see it every so often kind of come up. You have the shops that are just like, I want to be big enough to be able to make sure that I cover all of my expenses. I'm not worried about becoming a bigger store or maybe expanding to multiple channels or multiple locations or something like that. I just want to be able to run my store, have fun, and cover my lifestyle, and not have to worry about like, well, now I'm this multi-chain corporate entity. And then again, I got a cousin, they expand their coffee shop empire every so often. They're kind of growing, and that's what they're wanting to do. So it's up to what the business wants and what their ultimate goals are.
All right, Shashi.
Yeah, I think I had a similar experience as Leyland when I was talking to my roofing contractor who does roofing and siding. It's been at least 6-7 years since I called them. So I said like, hey, have you guys become like 10 branches and 1,000 people? He said, no. We are very happy with what we have. We don't want to expand and, not have the lifestyle that we are having. So I thought that was interesting. And I'm seeing that not only in small businesses, but even technology companies don't want to go the VC route. They want to be profitable. They want to remain growing with their own investment, right? But there are two things that I'm seeing that are a little bit of a worry for a lot of people, small and large businesses. One is gas prices. Like, even though the US is self-sufficient, one of the largest producers of gas, we probably didn't understand that the market is global, right? So whenever the price.
Can I break in for a second, Sean, and just say,
yeah,
some of us did understand that. It's not certain people in the wrong positions are the ones that didn't understand it.
He understood.
That's all I wanted to say.
Don't.
I felt a need to just jump in.
Don't act like this is not intentional.
All right.
Act like seriously. I mean, seriously. There has been all kind of studies and everything about exactly what was going to go on, and we're seeing exactly what was going to be said that was going to go on. Don't act like this ain't intentional. I don't know what the intent is, but it was very intentional.
It's so good to have you back. By the way,
you're welcome.
Shashi, please continue.
Yeah. So the second point is also like the oil price is not just affecting people who are driving cars. I mean, you're going to see data centers use a lot of energy, and they all have hopefully fixed contracts so that you won't see other parts of your business becoming more expensive. But that's something to watch out for too, because they are going to pass that along to customers too. So what if all your like internet connection, cloud connection, all of those go up, right? So something to watch out for is my opinion.
Well, funny you mentioned that, because one of the things that I was going to touch on is Microsoft and this deal they're going for with Chevron, basically to cover what you just said there, Shashi. They want to be able to have plenty of access to energy and They want to have not only plenty of access to it, but they want a fixed cost associated to it, so they know how they can price it and make money and still have all they need. But I'm not going to dig into that just yet, because one of the things that I was wondering if any of you were going to say that you didn't was that we're at April, whatever it is, April 4th, 2026, almost to the day since our day of liberation last year. So usually I ask the
That was on my notes, but you did. I thought you would be the one to bring it up.
Oh, okay. Well,
That's not a how you feel in question.
No, that's like, how do you think the last year has been? Let's just take this as something that you just talked about. Like, small businesses, they don't ask for the world. They just want to be able to make a good living and have calmness and be able to just maintain and do a little building. But they just want to have things and have situations that they can manage, that they don't have to go outside and scream for help. They like being able to know the situation and being able to have as much control over their little piece of the puzzle. But over the last year, how do you think that has gone for you? And how do you think it's gone for, generally speaking, for small business? Has this last year been a year of liberation for small businesses? Anyone who wants to jump in. Nobody wants to touch that one, apparently.
Well, I would, but I'm like, I don't want to be the guy that's always the third rail.
I'll jump in.
Yes.
I'll say this. I don't think it's been calm. I think it's been volatile for small business, but in a very specific way of if you're trying to figure out, like, strategically what should you offer, where to invest, I think that part becomes hard. If you're a business that was exposed to products that were impacted by tariffs, let's say that you are a auto part supplier. Let's say if Leyland specialized in custom wheels for vehicles, those sort of things, you get impacted by, types of vehicles that are on sale, maybe even parts are available. I think the challenge was trying to figure out, I think most small businesses, just like Wall Street, you're trying to account for some volatility, but I think the challenge is trying to figure out where and how it's sustained. I think that was the problem for a lot of people. So that's just my 2 cents.
I think more about unpredictability, right? Like, if there was something that you knew and you could predict and continue to manage your business that way. I think most of the time I'm hearing like, hey, I don't know if the price is going to go up or come down in the next weeks, days. So that's a big problem.
So predictability and affordability, 2 things we haven't seen a lot over the last year. Who wants to jump in next?
All right. It was a total year of chaos. I mean, give me a break. He changed the policy 50 times over that year, maybe 50, 100. My mom used to say 50, 11 times,
Okay.
And then the Supreme Court jumps in and strikes down the whole thing, right? And then at the same time, manufacturing continues to decline. This is a damn, anyway, clown show. It's a clown car, just like always. The clown car comes up and all the clowns keep coming out, and we'll see how many more clowns he got left. But it is a straight up clown show for business. I don't know anybody in business that's clapping over this one.
NFIB is clapping. They so happy they're peeing their pants. So happy.
Why are they happy?
I do not know, but they are. You know what it is? They're feeling good about themselves, but they're terrified about the future. And what I think is funny is that is the same data we have seen month in, month out, year in, year out. And to John's point, I would love to be that kind of pretzel, right? I would love to be that kind of pretzel with a little salt on top. But, you know, my mom doesn't say, but like, if it's raining, put on a raincoat, right? So this is, and I think that's what people are dealing with. There is just so much uncertainty that people are like, I can't even think about this, whether it's right, wrong, smart, stupid. I got to get me some customers, keep them, sell them more stuff, and deal with the price increases, which are insane. I mean, if y'all want to hear stats, I got them.
Mm.
It's not crazy.
She got
She got the stats too.
you got stats.
All right, so far we've got affordability, unpredictability, and a chaotic clown show.
I love that. That's like a hashtag.
Chaotic clown show, and we got some stats that maybe we'll hear from Eva. All right, Leland.
The thing that I keep thinking about is one of the things that I kind of keep an eye on is the stats on small businesses and their confidence levels, and it's remained even. It's not been up, it's not been down, great ups, great downs, or anything like that. It's been pretty even through a year of chaos. We have small businesses who are pretty confident within their own ability to be able to succeed, and I love that. And yes, I concede, yes, it has been chaotic this last year, and there are the stories here and there of certain stores, certain businesses being affected by tariffs negatively to the point where it was extremely detrimental to their business. But for the most part, small business owners are staying strong, and they're able to adapt and change and grow even in the harshest conditions. And I love that. I love seeing that, and I love knowing that even in maybe it was just because they'd gone through something far worse with 2020, that they're like, oh, it's difficult, but it's nowhere near where it was a couple of years ago. So that's what I just love to see. I love to see that, even through it all, businesses are like, yeah, we're just going to keep trucking on.
All right. So we keep hoping that this war with Iran ends shortly. The Strait of Hormuz is not open to be able to have the normal levels of oil and the barges and all the ships coming through that keeps everything moving.
Slight correction on that. It's not open to countries not friendly to Iran. Otherwise, Chinese,
yeah, that's true.
Chinese
and Russia, I think.
Asian countries, and Russia.
All right, so I'm speaking, I guess, in terms of America and American small businesses. How long can small businesses operate the way that they would like to operate before they do start feeling it, and it has more impact than they're feeling right now? I mean, because we already know $5 gallon of gas is still out there, and potentially, if this goes on longer, it could go up, not down. So, how long do you give this war? When does it need to end? How do I put it like this? When does it need to end before it becomes a issue right to the small business person? Because I think, like you just said, Leland, if you ask them about their individual circumstances, they feel much more confident because they feel like they have more control over it. But when you ask them about the general state of the economy in small business, that's not the same response you get. So how long before this goes on and before it starts hitting them personally? Because they don't worry about it unless it hits them personally.
I'm not too sure about how much the Strait of Hormuz, really affects like small businesses. I mean, there is the oil, and that is a big issue globally, and that is going to affect, of course, the price back home. but I'm just not familiar enough with that and how it would affect outside of oil, since a lot of our products do come from China and not necessarily from the Middle East that utilize that strait. I know that on a global scale, it's going to affect markets, um, but I'm just not sure, specifically for small businesses in America, how much it's going to affect. I'm just not that familiar with it, unfortunately.
I can add a little bit to this. The first thing is there are no American oil tankers that go through the Strait of Hormuz, and we don't depend on Iran for oil at all. Now, one surprising thing that happened in the last 2 weeks is that the US sanctions against Iranian oil have been lifted, because people would have done that anyway, even with the sanctions, right? So it was better to save face and say like, hey, we lifted that. And I believe the purchasing Russian oil has also been lifted, because as much as I think most of our audience is going to be the North American market, this has affected countries like Philippines, Asia, countries in Asia, Vietnam, and small business there are affected. I mean, like restaurants have to cut down their menu, people are lining up for gasoline. There's a lot of violence also in part of this world because of these shortages. So a large part of the world is suffering in a way for no they didn't ask for it, right? So they got this misery there. Now, what I predict is going to happen, and if it happens, you all heard it first here, is there will be some way the federal government is going to cap the amount of fuel costs that companies can put. Not a tradition. Usually the government never interferes with the prices, but with the midterms coming, they've got to do something. They've already, I think, released some of their stocks that we have of fuel, and we're going to get from Venezuela. But everything is run by private companies. The US government isn't distributing oil, right? So they have to tell the private companies, if you want to get this oil, here's the price. Or they have to reduce the price themselves so that it equates to what the private companies are selling. I mean, I think, Brent, you watch stocks a lot. I think all of the oil companies are doing pretty well for a war that's going on, and defense companies.
It is interesting to see, while we are in the middle of a war, how regular things seem to be on a day-to-day level. Like we're all just sitting around talking, or we're going to brunch and getting our nails done and all that stuff. And there is a war going on. Actually, there's several wars going on. But once again, because there's nothing going on in our little neighborhoods or in our houses, we kind of feel distant from all that's actually going on. And I think that's how small businesses actually function in the midst of all this chaos. They're only thinking, as long as the chaos stays outside of me and my business, to the most part, they're not too worried about it. And it just feels like at some point they may have to start worrying about a little bit more than what they are, unless we're able to get off of this terrible war thing that we have going on right now.
I want to add something here. Like, if you're a small business selling induction stoves, export a lot to India, because all the suppliers there, they've run out of supplies because they're expecting cooking gas to be scarce. So everybody's bought induction stoves. My family is actually trying to see if they'll go back to firewood just in case this war lasts longer.
Wow.
Now, another important thing is, like, you never know who to believe, and this could be totally targeted to small businesses also. I was talking to my mom around 6 a.m. today, and she told me that a US jet has been shot over Iran. And I saw an alert come probably at 12 o'clock that, yes, that news is true. It's almost certain that we are not hearing the real story from any outlet.
Can't get it. I was going to say I got that notification from the Wall Street Journal. One U.S. crew
Right.
member rescued after jet shot down.
And I'm telling my mom, no, mom, I haven't seen that news. And
She
she's
doesn't.
telling me, hey, it's all over. We've seen pictures of it, right? So, in terms of reputation management, if you want to discuss the Anthropic code thing, I just think it's a good lesson on, transparency. Like, quickly say what happened and say we are taking care of it. That's all people need to hear.
All right, maybe for the last few minutes here, kind of switch off for this. Although this has been very interesting, but something happened yesterday. I'd never even heard of this company, but I'm going to put this up here. How many of you heard of this TBPN? I have never heard of this before. Had you, Shashi?
No, and I'm thinking maybe they'll next buy PPN next.
So this came out yesterday, and it was really interesting. OpenAI gets in the media by streaming business talk show TBPN, and apparently some people who actually know what this is have said that TBPN is kind of like the ESPN of tech talk, for a lack of a better way of putting it. So apparently, it's very well known out in the Silicon Valley. These guys. It's like a daily show that's like 3 hours a day, and it's like they cozy up to a lot of the tech bros and CEOs, and they have conversations, fun and a lot of give and take and all this kind of stuff. And OpenAI just bought them, and it got a lot of people's attention because it was not a move people were expecting. But does it feel like a good move for OpenAI to buy their own media outlet? Because it seems like over the last several weeks they've been getting some negative press, and it feels like they want to have their own media arm to combat the oncoming negative discussions around how they operate, because their profiles is going up and up. AI's importance is going up and up. They're getting more negative talk about them and what they do, and now they buy their own media outlet. What do you guys think about this? Is that something that's a positive? Is it a negative? Is it nothing at all? Who wants to jump in?
I want to start, if you all don't mind, right? Like, I don't have insights into the inner workings of OpenAI, but I think Fidji Simo, who's the president, is, I think, struggling to bring the company back to a pathway where it is useful, no gimmicks, and try to be a business, just like Anthropic is. But what Sam Altman thought, like he was following the Elon Musk model, which is, I don't need any marketing. I'm going to be the spokesperson, and I'm going to be
it wasn't working.
Making OpenAI grow. Very soon, I think there's a lot of pressure because OpenAI, even though it's making more revenue than Anthropic, it's not profitable, and there's no sign of profitability for decades now. And they're going into like consumer gimmicks, which I call Sora as a consumer gimmick. But they are an important company for small businesses because small businesses got their first access to AI using OpenAI. So they should become a business, and this may just be hiring for talent and creating more media very fast is what I think is the reason for this. I don't think they wanted the show. They wanted, what I predict will be, they'll have their own OpenAI kind of show that will help create more business for them is what I'm thinking their strategy is.
Yeah, I just think they want to control the narrative around AI. They want to influence more public conversations, and they get to do this by bypassing traditional media by owning their own media company. So it's an influence play.
Yep.
At the same time, they're probably getting ready to gear up to go public.
No, that's definitely going to happen.
So,
but I see this as a brand strategy story, and I don't think they did themselves any favors, at least like in my mind. I'm going to speak for myself. right? Like when you look back on OpenAI and when they were this nonprofit, I don't know if I want to say do-gooder, but they had this like lofty goal, this vision for AI and its role in the world and blah, 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 right? And I remember being in that headspace of, wow, this like think tanky thing and they're not for profit and blah, blah, blah. There was that, right? ChatGPT launches, all this stuff goes on. And then Sam Altman, he's out there, the face of it all. And we were like, yeah, he's a little bit of a tech bro, but hey, they got vision. We're gonna, anything he did or said or lacked or whatever, we sort of glossed right over that in the true spirit of DEI. We just glossed right over that and said, keep going. We're good with that. But then that thing happened with Anthropic and the government, and then they went to OpenAI, and then something happened to that brand story. Like it kind of just broke. Like, yeah, we knew that, you were going to go for the money and the blah, blah, blah. And now I think I basically saw this and glossed over it. But so now they buy Tech Bro Media. So
I love that. That's really what they should call themselves. That's a great name.
Tech Bro Media. I mean, really, it's just a bunch of podcasts with a bunch of tech bros so that they can continue to be in their own bubble. And I'm kind of curious as to whether they've done themselves any favors or just they making the same mistake that a lot of people are making in leadership, in power, and just isolating themselves and thinking it's good for me. And heck, even small business, right? It's good for me. I'm okay, right? So I don't know what the hell I was trying to say with that, other than like I don't think they're doing themselves any favors. There's just something. I just think that you can't play the tech bro card anymore. Media is way too big for that. There are other segments of media that can just clap them down more, whether it's more mainstream or something else. I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I full of it?
I agree with you, even. In fact, I feel like it's more like a merger for the sake of merging, and we've seen this with large companies all the time. The thing that comes to mind to me is with Chrysler back when they had merged with Mercedes-Benz for a minute, and that it felt good because now you are you're the third player in the U.S. market, and now you connected with a historical brand. But that merger, they ended up separating it eventually over time. And part of the problem was that it didn't change anything in the market. It may have felt good for Chrysler and maybe for a certain extent Mercedes-Benz. And you may have seen some interesting products, but as far as like really changing where the market perceives you, that didn't happen. I kind of feel like I'm a little early on this in saying this, because I know it's just happened. But I also feel like OpenAI, I'm not sure what a media company, honestly, they're controlling their narrative to a certain extent. But the media, I think, even though you touched upon it, the media is it's such a broad thing right now. It's like saying, like everybody has software at some level. Everyone is a software company. If you even have a website, you are operating off of software. It's just everywhere. It's a commodity. And I think it's the same thing with media now. We have so many different, Apple Computers is a media company if you stop and think about it, just from having Apple TV.
Well, absolutely.
So yeah, so it's hard for them to make this. It's hard to look at this and go, okay, what is this really? On the surface, it's very weird to look at it and say, okay, well, it's going to do something great for them. Right now, I'm not seeing it. I don't think a lot of other people see it yet. I think it does. I do agree with John. It does help out with a narrative for them, but I think that's being done with blinders on and not. And they're thinking that, it's going to help us. But the reality is, I think the markets will still see them as AI, as an AI company, and not really paying attention to the media part, or take it with a grain of salt that the media part has, a little bit of that. It's commercialized to bias towards OpenAI and not just like some sort of new media company that gives some sort of new truth to the market and brings a certain sentiment.
I think that this was because a lot has happened with OpenAI. They lost their deal with Disney, and they've decided to kind of shut down Sora. And I don't think that necessarily that, after that, it would be a good idea to buy Tech Bros podcast.
Tech Bro Media, man. Let's call it Tech Mo.
Tech Bro Media.
No,
I was
no.
trying to go with like the
This is CBL.
TV, and N. It's like Tech Bros podcasts and news or something like that. I don't know, but I imagine that this deal was in the workings for like maybe like a year or something like that, or maybe half a year or something to that effect, because I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, I just lost all these billions of dollars because Disney pulled out, let me go buy a media company. So I think that it was just something that was just going, and they couldn't necessarily stop it. But it's something that happens all the time. I mean, I think Adobe's bought in a couple of media companies to be able to kind of further their brand.
Oracle basically bought Warner Brothers, Time Warner, Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
You name TikTok. They're all media companies at this point.
Yeah, so it's not too uncommon to be able to have these companies even buy little ones to be able to utilize that to kind of further their brand, or even just buy influencers outright and just kind of like use them as their mouthpiece. It happens all the time, and yeah, I don't see OpenAI doing it, and yeah, they need some good publicity because, I mean, they just lost Disney and billions of dollars. So any help that they could get, they're going to be going after.
Yeah, like maybe the thing I'm looking at is more around, because we've seen this, like you said, we've seen this before. We've seen Jeff Bezos buy the Washington Post. And originally everybody was like, oh, this is great. He's going to let them do what they do. You know, he's got the money to let them actually concentrate on, the journalism aspects. And at first, I think everybody was pretty happy with that. Then somewhere along the way, when they wanted to do what they usually do, which is endorse a presidential candidate, Jeff stepped in and said, you know what, we're out of that business now. And he's done other things because guess what? He wants to do business with the federal government for all those government contracts. And he found out, well, if a certain person doesn't like what's printed in a certain rag, they might not have an opportunity to get a certain contract. So all of a sudden, this thing that was really good, had a really good reputation, is now looked at as a rag. And people just stop listening to it when it comes to certain things because they know the person who was buying it, who was supposed to let it do what it does, now he's putting his thumb on it and is changing the complete direction of the editorial. So I kind of look at this as a modern day Washington Post thing, because it's not the Washington Post. It's a podcast network, I guess. But a lot of people listen to podcasts now. A lot of people really take their cues from podcasts now. So why wouldn't a company like OpenAI, a newer company, it's the AI first company, why wouldn't they kind of do the same thing? But instead of buying the old media, they're buying something that's new media. But I think their intent is going to be even more immediate when it comes to how does this change the way these guys do their show? Does it change what stuff they talk about? Does it change their opinion on the stuff they talk about? How will people respond to that who are avid watchers of this, who will take note of how things might be changing and what direction they might be going in? We'll see how this all works out. But if we learn anything from history, we know when things start getting a little ugly in terms of the narrative that, the traditional media would put on something, then somebody would try to step in and try to squash it. So OpenAI probably doesn't have a lot of lead time, because if they start tinkering with this thing immediately, nobody is gonna really take that serious, and they'll probably start losing all those members they had before they got bought. That's just my opinion. I'm not speaking for anybody else.
Yeah, so I think we are saying two things, right? One is internal media, one is trying to buy influence. So,
Mhm.
Leland, let's see where it pans out in a couple of months.
First of all, shout out to Martin for really
Yeah,
hanging in there.
Yeah.
Freedom of expression. Yeah, I agree with that. But this is not a podcasting industry thing. This is about, like Shashi just said, influence and controlling the narrative. That's what this is about. It could be whatever format or whatever channel they use, but it's all about, to me, about controlling narratives and being able to control how a company is viewed and being able to do and have that narrative come from them and these channels that they're starting to use. Podcasting is great, but it's all about how you use the podcasting. That's really the important part. Anyway, thanks, Martin. Have a nice evening over in, wow, he's in Sweden. Have a good night, man. Thanks for joining us. All right, because I know, Shashi, you got to pull out. So you have any last thoughts before you roll out of here?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's economy is their individual one. So, look at your bank balance, look at your customers, look at how much of savings you have. The newspapers will, or the news media will keep telling you a lot of things. I think you make your own judgment and opinion. And like Martin said, have a variety of places that you listen to news about. So thanks, everyone. It was great to see you all. Appreciate it.
Have a good weekend, man.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Oh,
And we lost John too.
But he's back.
yeah,
He's back.
we found him.
Did we? Oh,
Yeah, you're back.
awesome.
Anyway, I really find this stuff interesting. These new media that are getting old problems thrown at them and how they're using new stuff to do the same thing that the old companies wanted to do: control the narrative. This is all this is to me. It's a narrative play. I think, John, you're the one who used the word narrative, right?
Yeah.
They are starting to get a lot of incoming shrapnel. They're getting a lot of negativity thrown at them. A lot of it is coming up right from about Sam Altman. Some of his last interviews, they haven't been too good. And I think they're starting to think about I guess somebody said they were going to try to make him the spokesperson. That's probably not a good idea. They better find somebody that's a little better at this than he is. He's nobody's questioning his smarts. Look what he's done. But sometimes people who are so smart, they think they can be smart about everything, everywhere, at any time. And we've seen that's not usually the case. People do have their limitations. A wise man once said, "A man's got to know his limitations." That was Dirty Harry, folks. Just let you know.
Okay.
It is interesting because, I mean, if you look at some of these other companies, it's like Mark Zuckerberg is out there every so often, but he's not the face of, like, he's not out there as the spokesperson of Meta.
Not anymore.
Like that.
He
Not
tried.
anymore.
He tried it, but it wasn't a
No,
good
I
outcome.
mean, he
But,
was out
you know-
there when you go back to the 90s, and that was Zuckerberg everywhere. 90s.
The 90s. Was it like 5?
2000s, early 2000s, late 2000s, whenever.
Little
But
Marky
he was the
Zuckerberg
only
was out
case. Absolutely. They made a whole movie about the guy.
well,
Give me
no,
a break.
But they had Sheryl Sandberg. She was there for a while.
They made a movie about the guy.
The Tech Bros made
Let's
a
be
movie.
clear.
The Tech Bros made a movie about the guy, but I'm saying
Okay, anyway,
Sheryl Sandberg
whatever.
was the face for a while.
whatever.
A good
Say
long
what
time.
you want. He was out there.
I'm not saying he wasn't
This
out there, but he
guy's
wasn't
out
out there
there.
alone.
I mean,
Sheryl
he
Sandberg
was,
made
yeah.
a name out of being there.
But after a while, they pulled him back because, I mean, Lizard Man comments were coming left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the one example that I think of is like the owner, the big dog being the spokesperson was Steve Jobs.
He was
Like
great.
he was great. He was perfect. He was, even a little manic at times, but it's like it sold, and it was so much to the point to where him being taken from the company, actually hurt the company. And then once they brought him back, all of a sudden it exploded. So you got to pick and choose, and companies that
Everybody
are like,
thinks they're Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
everyone
big
They
wants to
dress
be
like
Steve
him.
Jobs.
They walk like them.
Yeah,
They
the
try
black
to talk
turtleneck
like
thing.
them.
Oh my god.
Elizabeth
It's-
Holmes. I
ugh.
mean, even Elizabeth Holmes tried to mimic Steve Jobs. We saw what happened there.
He might have been the worst because her voice wasn't even real.
Yeah. I think I think some of these companies now, I think it's the rate that they've gotten so much investment and so much media spotlight that, you know, there's an old saying where like whoever is a founder, they're great at finding the company and kind of getting it going. But then once you get to a certain scale, the MBAs come in. You want people who can operate around, who can speak about operations, and that focuses on operations, not, you know, Elon Musk going to do Doge type of stuff, basically. And I think, you know, I think when Elon did that, I think that also, not that it directly affected Sam Altman, but I think a lot of things are about timing. The fact that we saw this tech bro, very successful, people who try to emulate, go off and do this, you know, government activity that he was not qualified for, and neither was his team, frankly. You know, you're supposed to be, as a founder, you're supposed to be dedicated to the business and the product, not trying to get your hands into everything. And I think once that happened, I think for Sam, I think people are really watching, you know, the next people coming up saying, hey, you need to be focused on your business, and you need to be focused on speaking about marketplace issues, not trying to get your hands into everything.
You know, he was the voice of not a business. He was the voice of an industry. He was on all these podcasts because people wanted to know, what's this AI thing? And let's be clear, this is only 3 years. It's not like, you know, this long trajectory. This guy, I think he bit off a lot more than he could chew.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, the what do you call him, the snake man or the alligator, that's starting to show through.
Lizard man.
The lizard man is starting to show through.
Yeah,
I think that's starting to show. You know, because for all the things I might think about, you know, Elon Musk, he's pretty much a straight shooter. You know, I don't, and the things that he said about I take some of that into account about the conversations they had versus what he did. You know, I don't trust the guy a whole lot. I really don't. But, you know, that's my personal opinion, you know. So he needs some good press. So why not buy some?
that's the bottom line for me. This is about controlling the narrative, and he knows it's going to get a lot worse.
I don't know if this is because I'm sitting on this panel with so much testosterone
Good Lord.
that you guys, I want like you're like, oh, influence. I'm like, people, there are more than tech bros on this planet. And you got to realize the meta space we're in, the mega trends that we've been living with right now are focused on, like, we're in the season of outing some BS and fakery. This is like, notice what's been happening. We are in this season. You are not long for the media life once you are outed. Like Christy Noem's husband. Like, this is the season that we're in. People are looking for dirt. And when you're looking for dirt, you're going to find some. Right? We all just lucky that our dirt, we're just like not that important. So like your dirt is not that exciting. But people are looking. And they've got digital pitchforks and shovels for these people. So the fact that these guys are buying like a tech bro podcast media is like going to do nothing for them because people don't trust it. Your actions.
That's not. No, you're missing it. This is not a play. This is a in the loop play. It's not about CNN. We don't
Right.
care about. They don't care about that. It's
That's
about the
what I don't
people.
understand.
Yeah, it's an
So they got
internal
the tech
play.
bros. It's an internal play. They got the tech bros.
Yeah.
Is this like the 1% of the tech bros that are going to drive all the purchases, like the 80% of the AI money? Is that what we're talking about?
The rest of the world, if you think about like podcasts, right? Just in general, there can be a podcast like a Joe Rogan, right? That can start an entire conversation. It happens on Rogan, and then you see it on CNN. Then you see it on Fox. You know what I'm saying? This is influence at the micro level, and I think it's very important. It's an important move for them I think at that level, and then it'll burst up. There's nobody at CNN talking about, well, here's how AI actually works. They have to go into the walled garden and find somebody to talk about it. He just bought the podcast that influences the whole world, the garden.
I agree with both of you. He did it, and there was a reason why I did it, and that's the reason. But I also agree with Ivna. Because we've seen it happen before. We saw what the joy that the Washington Post was bought by Bezos, and everybody there the editorial staff was happy because they thought, wow, now we got a unlimited checkbook, and we could just focus on our editorial, our content, and not have to worry about writing stuff because somebody wants to hear this and not that. And what happened? So this is not. I agree with both of you. I agree with why they bought it.
Say both things can be true.
And I agree with what Eva to say. Eventually, something's going to happen because people know when you were talking this way before you got bought, and all of a sudden, after you got bought, we think of it a little differently now. I wonder why. So I think we could see both of you guys being right.
John.
Eva and John together again. All right, folks. Any last thoughts before we close for the week?
Just happy Good Friday, and hope everyone gets a little rest this weekend, and happy Easter.
Dang.
Very nice.
Ah, yes.
Dang.
What's so dang? That's a good sign.
I didn't realize it was Good Friday. That's one.
Well, you're a heathen.
That's true too. But it's like, wow, the weather's so great, and it's like Easter's here. It's time. It's yay. So that's my wow.
I'm with you, John. Good Friday, Easter always sneaks up on me too. So
yeah.
It's because they change the date all the time.
Yeah,
it does change. That's right.
Easter was a special occasion in my family because I was born the night before Easter. So,
oh,
nice.
Yes. Don't say anything wrong, Mr. Cold Rice. Don't spoil the moment. All right, folks. Thanks for all the comments. Martin did yeoman's work with the comments. A lot of good stuff. That podcasting is his deal, so you got all into that. But we hope you enjoy the weekend and whatever faith you are. We hope you enjoy Sunday, and we will see you next Friday. Have a great week.
Woo-hoo.